everybody meet me on the mat, taking palms of the feet together, lying on the back, beginning to settle the body down into the mat. So in this position, we're beginning to open up into the groin a little. And if it's too intense, it can be, especially early on in the day. You can always just place the soles of the feet to the ground, and that can ease off some of the pressure into the groin. Taking a hand onto the belly and a hand onto the chest, beginning to notice the sensations in the body today. Noticing how the breath is traveling in and out of the body. What's the length and the quality of the breath like today? And if your eyelids are open, gently closing them on your next exhalation. Tuning into that breath, which is going to be really helpful during today's practice, helping us to twist deeper and to work more into the spine. And whilst we're here, setting yourself an intention for today's practice, and this could be anything at all which helps you as well off the mat. So perhaps about staying present, about focusing on the breath, could be about going a little easier on yourself because you know you push yourself a bit too much. I know I'm guilty of that myself. And spending a few final moments here, allowing the body to settle as you become present in the room, in your space for your practice today. And when you're ready to, we're going to take the left leg out long on the mat. We're going to begin our twisting right away. We're going to draw the right knee into the chest. And we're going to take that right knee over to the left side, extending the right arm out in the opposite direction, either in a cactus position with the elbow bent or out straight. And we want to be taking our gaze out to that right hand. So here we're opening into the chest, we're opening the glute, the IT band, and we're getting a beautiful twist going into the spine. This is a great stretch that you can do in bed in the mornings too. Inhaling here deeply, exhaling here smoothly, maybe seeing if you can take the gaze a little further out to the right hand. Taking one more long, deeper breath, you really using the breath to go deeper here. And then once you're ready to, we're going to draw that right knee back into the chest. We're going to straighten with the leg, finding a stretch into the back of the leg here. So it might be more dominant into the calf for those of you that are running a lot at the moment. And for me, it's more dominant into my hamstring, which I know tends to get really tight. So you can take a little bit of a bend in the knee here. An option is to tuck the toes towards and away from the face. You can use the hand to support on the lower or the upper leg, depending on your flexibility. Also depends on the length of your arms. Not needing to go too deep here, just making any movements which allow you to begin opening into the back of that right leg. And then once you're ready to, we're going to slowly lower the right leg all the way to the ground, engage in the core as you do so. So we're sucking the belly button towards the mat here. We're drawing the toes towards the body. We're beginning to feel a little bit of fire into the core there, which is going to be helping us later on. And then the right leg is settled on the mat. We're drawing the left knee into the chest. We're taking that left knee over to the right side and taking the left arm out in the opposite direction. So the left arm is going in the left, towards the left. And remembering that arm can either be in cactus if you're limited on space, or I'd recommend to try and get it out straight because then we open into the chest a little bit more and the meridians which work into the arm. Taking the gaze out to that left hand. If you're wanting to make this a little bit more intense, you can place the top right hand onto the top of the leg, just gently drawing that leg closer towards the mat. Twisting here into the spine, opening into the chest. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, slowly unraveling. Again, left knee coming into the chest, beginning to straighten with that leg. And you might notice it's more or less intense on this side. Nobody's completely equal on both sides of the body. So option is to support the hands behind the leg and draw the toes towards and away from the face. If it's a bit too intense, take a good bend in the knee and just go to a 7 out of 10, whatever that is for you. And drawing the toes inwards, maybe taking them back out for one more time. And then like we did on the opposite side, slowly lower the left leg all the way down, engaging the core. So what we want to do here is push the lower back into the ground so we're not arching into the back here. And this will help to activate the lower abdominals. Taking that heel slowly all the way into the mat. And then we're going to draw both knees into the chest, hands underneath the thighs, rocking up and down 3 or 4 times until we find ourselves in a cross-legged seated position. Massaging the spine as we move, finding ourselves into that cross-legged seat. We're going to just move the fleshy parts of the sit bones out a little bit to create more space for our fold. Inhaling to reach up with the fingertips and the gaze, sucking the belly button in. Exhale, folding forwards. Going as far as you wish. It doesn't need to be the deepest forward fold that you've done ever. And then we're going to slowly crawl the hands out to the left side and maybe placing the right hand on top of the left. Twisting gently into that right side of the body. Finding an opening into the right side. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, hands back through to center. Moving the hands over to the right side. Maybe left hand comes on top of the right or maybe just next to it. Opening here into the left side of the body. Seeing if you can keep that left sit bone drawing down towards the mat. Inhaling here once more. Exhale back through to center, crawling the hands out a little bit further, allowing here the head and the neck to relax so that we're also working into the cervical, the top part of the spine here. Inhaling here deeply once more. Exhale, slowly unraveling all the way up, and then we're going to rock over onto all fours. So you can come through cross-legged to do this, or you can move the legs out to one side to rock over. Stacking hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the wrists. We're going to take 3 rounds of cat-cows. So as you inhale, we're going to arch with the back, taking the gaze up and ahead. As you exhale, doming the top of the back, gaze going to the belly button. Inhaling again a little bit deeper, finding that arch, that opening into the chest. Exhale, pushing the space away between the shoulder blades towards the ceiling. Taking one more long, deep round here. Noticing any area of the spine which is feeling particularly tight today and might need a bit more breath going into it. And then once you're ready to back through to all fours, tucking under with the toes, lifting up with the hips, finding a way into that first down dog. And what I recommend here is pedaling out the feet one by one, walking your dog, or doing anything at all which feels good in the body. For me, I love to rock forwards onto the balls of my feet and then back down onto my heels. I don't know why, I just love that sensation. And sometimes also rocking gently with the hips from side to sides. Remembering here, we always want to be finding a straight spine. Straight legs are less important. In fact, we can bend the knees as much as we need to. Once you're ready to, we're going to take the gaze forwards between the hands, bending the knees, stepping the right foot behind the right hand, left foot behind the left, dropping down into a squat. We're going to be coming back here later to do some twists from this. But what we want to focus on here is opening into the groin. So maybe hands come to heart center. If you're a little bit less open into the ankles, you can use the hands in front of you and take a little bit of weight onto those. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, forward fold. So hands are reaching down onto the ground to begin with, bending a little bit into the knees, finding this stretch into the backs of the legs. If you're wanting to take it a little bit deeper with me, interlace the hands behind the back, allowing the arms to come over. So here we're not just opening into the backs of the legs, we're also opening into the shoulders and the chest. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, hands onto the hips. Slowly, gently lifting the body all the way up to standing. If you know you've got low blood pressure, doing this even slower. Taking big toes to touch, heels slightly apart. As you inhale, we're going to reach up with the fingertips, taking the gaze up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, we're going to fold all the way down. As you inhale, we're going to take our halfway lift with a flat back and the gaze forwards. Exhale, dropping the hands, taking just the left foot backwards, dropping that left knee, finding low lunge. Opening here into the left hip flexor. We're growing tall from the crown of the head. The hands can be at heart center, or you can reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Slowly, gently, we're going to take the left hand onto the inside of the right foot. We're going to reach up with the right fingertips, coming into this easy twist. So we're drawing the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. We're twisting gently into the spine. We're opening into the right glute and the IT band. To take this further, you can draw the right hand backwards, so the back of the hand's coming away from you. And this will open more into the chest. Really slowly, we're going to drop the left knee to the ground, coming back through to that low lunge, and then twisting in the opposite direction this time. Left fingertips behind you, right fingertips forwards, gaze to that back left hand. So you'll feel this most significantly into the left hip flexor. But also we're getting an opening into a chest and a little bit of a twist into the spine here. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, taking both hands back through to heart center. Final one in this position. We're going to wrap this left forearm onto the outside of the right thigh. And then option is to keep that back knee on the ground or to come up into this twisted high lunge. If you're with me, taking the gaze up towards the ceiling, pushing into the ground with both feet. Inhaling here once more. We're going to exhale, coming back through to that either high or low lunge, it doesn't matter. Hands onto the mat, onto either side of that right foot. Right foot back to meet the left, finding ourselves into a high plank. We're going to be here for 5 breaths. So sucking the belly button towards the spine. If it gets too much, you can always drop the knees to the ground. We're drawing the heels backwards. We're taking the gaze at neutral. We're pushing the fingertips into the ground. And we want to make sure that the hips don't rise or low down too much. We want them to be at neutral. Really slowly, gently now, we're going to take the knees to the ground, drawing the chin and the chest all the way down, keeping the hips lifted. Sliding forward onto the chest, onto the belly, drawing the fingertips off the ground, taking a baby cobra. You can do this every time today I say upward facing dog. This is your modification option. Pushing the tops of the feet into the ground, hands onto either side of the body, tucking under the toes, downward dog. You've always got the option to rock through all 4s to get there. In this second downward dog, it can still feel good to make movements, so tune into what the body needs here. Taking another 2 deep rounds of breath. Maybe finding stillness for this final breath. Inhaling, rocking onto the balls of the feet, taking the gaze forwards. Left foot behind the left wrist, right behind the right, forward fold. Inhaling all the way up to standing, fingertips drawing up, gaze drawing up too. Hands come all the way down on your next exhalation. Inhaling, halfway lift with a flat back and the gaze forwards. Exhale, dropping the hands, stepping back, this time with the right foot, dropping that right knee to the ground. Hands through to heart center, low lunge. Finding this stretch into your right hip flexor. Growing tall with the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Option to extend the arms, the fingertips towards the ceiling and grow even taller. Once you're ready to, right hand is coming onto the inside of the left foot. We're tucking under the right toes, drawing the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Finding this stretch predominantly into the glute, the IT band on the left side. I absolutely love this pose because there's so many benefits. You're building strength into the arm, the core is engaged, both feet are pressing into the ground, and the stretching into the glute and the IT band, which I think always feels really good. Slowly, gently moving back through to center, so we're dropping that right knee, hands coming through to center, and then right fingertips behind us, left fingertips forwards, taking this twist with the gaze to the right hand. Opening into the chest, opening into the right hip flexor. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, hands back through to center, final twist. Right forearm onto the outside, right shoulder onto the outside of the left leg. Tucking under the toes is an option, but perfectly fine just to stay here. Whichever variation, seeing if you can move the thumbs towards heart center. Taking the gaze up towards the ceiling, engaging the belly button towards the spine. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, slowly unraveling, either low or high lunge. Hands onto either side of the right foot back to meet the left. Taking a long, deep breath into your high plank, pushing the fingertips into the ground, pushing the space away from you. And then once you're ready to, either knees, chest, chin with me, or full chaturanga. So if you're coming with me, knees, chest, chin to the ground. Inhale, either upward facing dog or cobra like we did a moment ago. If you're in upward dog, shoulders away from the ears, belly button sucked towards the spine. Exhale once you're ready to, downward facing dog. From here, we're going to be stepping the right toes in about half a foot. And then stepping the hands a little further inwards too. We're going to be doing a twisted down dog. So we're going to be taking the right hand onto the outside of the left leg, taking the gaze under that left armpit. Inhaling here deeply. Exhaling smoothly. Maybe seeing if you can look a little further under the left armpit, all the way to the ceiling. Once you're ready to unraveling, taking the opposite side. So left hand onto the outside of the right leg. Gaze up to the ceiling perhaps. Finding a twist in the spine and significant opening into the side of this right leg too. And then once you're ready to, replacing both hands onto the ground. Option to take a little bunny hop to come forwards, or to step the feet behind the hands, forward fold. Inhale, we'll take a halfway lift, so the spine is flat, the gaze is forwards. Someone could balance a coffee cup onto your spine here. Exhale, back through forward fold, all the way up to standing on your next inhalation. Maybe take a little back bend with me at the top here, and then hands through to heart center. Inhale, taking a chair pose, dropping the sit bones towards the ground, sucking the belly button towards the spine, gaze is up and ahead. We'll take an extra breath here, so inhaling, growing a little bit taller, crown of the head drawing up, sit bones drawing down. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to take a halfway lift. Exhale, placing both hands down, stepping or floating the feet back, high plank. Either full vinyasa or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, meeting back. Find your way into that down dog. From here, we're going to be lifting up with the right heel towards the ceiling, finding that three-legged dog. Pushing the fingertips into the ground, lifting a little bit higher into that right heel towards the ceiling. Slowly, gently taking the knee to the nose. We're going to hold it here for an extra breath. Using the core, sucking the belly button towards the spine. Inhale, right heel back towards the ceiling. Three-legged dog, finding that extension into the left leg. Drawing the foot forward once again, creating space between the hands, planting it through, lifting up, high lunge. Both feet are tracking forward. If you find it hard to balance, moving this right foot a little over to the right side. Hands through to heart center. Maybe extending the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, turning the back foot 90 degrees, arms onto either side, warrior two. Inhale, straightening into the front leg. Exhale, bending it a little bit deeper. Inhale, flipping with the front palm, reaching the fingertips forwards. Exhale to reverse your warrior. Finding an opening into the right side of the body, taking the gaze up towards the ceiling, opening the chest. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, unraveling back through to our warrior two, and then turning the back foot forwards again, high lunge. Taking the left arm onto the outside of the right leg, finding ourselves again into this twisted lunge. We're going to take it a little bit further this time. We're going to step this left foot forwards to meet the right, and then we're going to find ourselves into this twisted chair pose. So the knees are really bent here. We're taking the gaze up towards the ceiling, and we're going to slowly lower the sit bones all the way down. Option to stay here with me and draw the gaze up towards the ceiling. Actually, no, I'm going to go into the side crow, or to work towards the side crow. So I'm just repositioning myself so you can see it a little clearer. I'm taking the hands onto the outside of the right side, so I can create a ledge with my elbows. I'm taking my thigh, the outside of this right thigh, just above the elbow, so I created that ledge, and then slowly, gently, both feet are coming off. So this is actually the cheats way. The proper way would just be to use the right hand into the ground. For me, that's too much pressure onto one wrist, so I like to use both hands, and then maybe getting a little bit of air time. If you're still in this twisted lunge, option to come a little higher, coming into that chair pose once again. Inhaling here deeply wherever you are, slowly unraveling if you're in your side crow. And then we're all going to meet into a forward fold. Hands onto the ground, feet hip width apart. Taking peace fingers around the big toes, inhaling to take the gaze up. Exhale to fold, head, neck is relaxed. We're drawing the chest towards the ground by using those peace fingers. Inhaling here twice more. Being deep on those exhalations. Inhaling, hands onto the hips, slowly unwrapping the body all the way up to standing. Inhaling, reaching the fingertips up, gaze up, option for a back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale again, halfway lift. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping or floating the feet back. Vinyasa, either knees, chest, chin, or full chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale again, downward facing dog. Moving on to the opposite side, so this time, left heel to rise, finding that three-legged dog, finding that deep extension into the back of the right leg. Left heel's drawing higher. Slowly, gently, left knee to the nose, holding here for an extra breath. On your next inhalation, drawing that left heel back up, and then slowly, gently planting the foot between the hands as you lift up high lunge. Hands either to a heart center or reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Finding this deep stretch into the right hip flexor. Fingertips drawing up, crown of the head drawing you tall. Slowly, gently, we're going to turn in this right foot 90 degrees. Arms onto either side of the body, finding that warrior two. Inhale, straightening the front leg. Exhale, bending deeper, shoulders drawing away from the ears. Inhale to flip the front palm, reaching the fingertips forwards. Exhale, reversing your warrior. Twisting the chest towards the ceiling. Taking the fingertips overhead. Maybe seeing if you can twist a little bit more with the chest. Slowly, gently unraveling on your next exhalation. Turning the right toes to face forwards once again. Can be a little bit of a tricky transition. Hands coming through to heart center, twisted high lunge. So right arm onto the outside of the left leg. Taking the gaze towards the ceiling. If this is too much, dropping the back knee. Growing tall with each inhalation. Drawing the heel backwards with each exhalation. Maybe thumbs are moving towards heart center. Option to come with me. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. Coming through this chair pose, twisted chair. And then slowly, gently drawing the sit bones to the ground if you're wanting to move towards side crow. Bringing myself back a little bit so you can see. Hands are going towards the left side. And then we're making this shelf with our elbows that we can take the sit bones onto. It definitely helps for me because I've got really long arms, but I can make a shelf quite easily. So if you find this a bit hard, it could just be because of your body proportions. You might need to work on it a little bit longer. Maybe using both hands, maybe using one, and begin to take the feet off the ground. It might be that you just have one foot off the ground, one foot on. That might be great progress for you today. Inhaling here deeply wherever you are, pushing the fingertips into the ground. Exhale to unravel, feet back to the ground, moving back through our twisted chair. So drawing the sit bones up, unraveling. Exhale, forward fold, everyone meeting here. This time in our forward folds, taking the palms underneath the feet so that we can come into this monkey position. If this is a bit too much, coming into the first variation where we have peace fingers around the big toes and allowing the head and neck to relax, whichever variation that you're in. Inhaling here deeply, exhaling here smoothly, taking one more deep round of breath, drawing the sit bones up towards the ceiling. Taking the palms out from underneath the feet, dropping back down into our squat. So option to stay here, and if you're still working on getting a squat position, perfectly fine just to be staying here the whole time. If you're wanting to take a few twists with me, we'll begin by wrapping this right arm around the right leg. And you might just want to be grabbing the t-shirt behind you. I'll demonstrate this way, or you might be able to interlace hands. And if you can do this, taking the gaze up, perfectly fine then to just be using a t-shirt. And what you should be feeling here is an opening into the shoulder, an opening into the chest. And it's a bit of a twist going on in the spine here. Taking another few breaths. And then reaching the right fingertips just in front of the right foot. And then we're going to be reaching the left fingertips up towards the ceiling, so we're opening again into the chest. If you're still in your squat position and you're wanting to do something a little bit different, you could take the sit bones to the ground Legs out in front of you and take a forward fold. That's just if you've had enough. Those of you with me, taking one more inhalation. Exhale, we'll switch sides. We'll take the left fingertips to the ground, right fingertips up, opening into the chest. Inhaling here deeply. Exhaling here smoothly, taking one more deep round of breath. And then we're going to wrap this left arm around the left leg, maybe catching the right fingertips around the left ones and taking the gaze up towards the ceiling. Opening into the chest here, a twist going on into the spine. Lots going on here in the body. Taking another deep round of breath, maybe going a little bit deeper, like taking the gaze a little higher. And then really slowly, gently, we're going to move the body back through to center. We're going to take sit bones onto the ground, legs out in front of us, taking a Paschimottanasana. So inhale, reaching up with the fingertips, belly button sucked in. Exhale, folding forwards. It doesn't matter here if the hands are around the shins, the thighs, feet, or the big toes. Choose which one comes naturally to you. And finding this deep forward fold. Allowing the spine to be heavy here. Belly buttons gently sucking in towards the spine. We'll take one more breath. Gently, slowly, we're going to unravel. We're going to come through to a boat and Navasana. So taking slightly bent legs out in front of you, finding that straight spine, reaching the fingertips forwards. If you're wanting to go deeper, you can straighten the legs. That's a really hard one to do. So choose what's a 7 out of 10 for you, and that's enough. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, crossing the legs, coming through a vinyasa. Hands onto the ground in front of you, stepping the feet back, either one by one or stay up at the same time. Knees, chest, chin, or full chaturanga. Inhale into your upward facing dog or your cobra. And then hips drawing up, finding our way back to that downward facing dog. On your next inhalation, we're going to reach up once again, right heel to rise. Exhale, bending the knee, so the hips are stacking on top of one another. We're going to come into wild thing for those who want to. So if so, dropping the right foot behind you, reaching up and over with the left fingertips. Perfectly fine, just to be staying in this position though, with the top knee bent, hips stacked. If you're in your wild thing, taking one more inhalation. Exhaling to unravel, we'll all meet into a three-legged dog. And then we'll draw the right knee forward, planting the foot between the hands, lifting up high lunge once again, hands to heart center or reaching the fingertips up. Inhale, growing tall. Exhale, back foot turns 90 degrees, warrior two. Taking triangle pose, so straightening into the front leg, heel toe this back foot in slightly, reaching the fingertips forwards, hip drawing backwards, back of the right hand onto the inside of the leg, and reaching up with the left fingertips. Opening here into the chest, opening into the back of the hamstring. Breathing here deeply. Inhaling here deeply. Exhaling here smoothly. I've got a challenging one coming up for you in just a moment, which is twisted triangle. So once you're ready to, we're slowly going to unravel back through to that warrior two. We're going to be taking this right foot, the front foot, a little closer in and turning the back foot 45 degrees. Then we're going to be taking the back of the left hand onto the outside of the right leg and reaching up with the right fingertips. I am pretty limited in this position due to like the hamstring flexibility. You might be able to go deeper, you might be all the way up here, that's fine too. So we're finding a twist into the spine. The legs are probably shaking, mine definitely are. We're reaching a little bit high with the right fingertips. We'll inhale once more. Exhale, gently, slowly moving back through to center. We'll take a forward fold. So option here to have hands around opposite elbows or to come with me into reverse prayer. Drawing the chest upwards as you inhale, opening with the breastbone. Exhale, folding forward, straightening that front leg. A micro bend into it is fine though, especially if you've got vulnerable knees. So the back toes are pointing to 45 degrees. If you're in reverse press, seeing if you can keep pushing the hands together to open more with the chest. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, slowly, gently unraveling. We'll come into a half moon and then maybe a twisted half moon. So we'll keep the distance between these 2 feet. This will help us come into it. Unraveling with the arms, right fingertips to the ground in front of you. And we're slowly going to take this left foot up towards the ceiling. Maybe you can take the left fingertips up too. Perfectly fine just to have the left fingertips onto the hip. Option for those wanting even more of a challenge, to catch the back foot with the hand. Wherever you're at, remembering to breathe, we'll take another long deep breath. And then we'll come into that twisted half moon. One of my least favorite poses, but I know it's good to practice the things you don't like. So left fingertips onto the ground. For me, it's just less than a foot in front of my right foot. And then I'm reaching up with the right fingertips. Maybe falling out just like I am. Drawing the back toes in towards the body. And this is where a block can come in handy. But if you don't have a block and you're quite far off the ground, just bending more into that front knee is enough. We'll take another long deep inhale. Exhale, dropping that left foot back onto the ground. Hands onto either side of the right foot back to meet the left, taking your vinyasa. Always an option to come with me through the modified version, or even skip the vinyasa and move straight back into your down dog. Taking a long deep breath in your downward facing dog. And then we're going to drop the knees to the ground, coming into puppy dog pose. So keeping the hips stacked over the knees, walking the hands out one by one, either the forehead or the chin reaches the ground. If you're wanting to go deeper, push the fingertips into the ground, and that should intensify the stretch into the chest. So here we're creating space into the chest. It's a gentle back bend. We want to be settling back into our breath here. Taking 2 more long, deep rounds of breath. Coming back to that intention which you set yourself at the beginning of today's practice. Once you're ready to unraveling slowly through to all fours, and then tucking under the toes and lifting up with the hips once again, finding that downward facing dog. So moving on to the opposite side, taking the left heel up towards the ceiling, 3-legged dog. Bending the knees, so stacking the hips. I'm going to be staying here, but option is to come into your wild thing. One tip for your wild thing is seeing if you can focus on lifting the hips, really pushing the fingertips into the ground of that hand which is placed on the ground. Inhaling once more if you're in your wild thing. Exhale to unravel. We'll all move back into a 3-legged dog. We'll slowly, gently draw that left knee forwards. See if you can do this without making a sound, placing the left foot between the hands. Lifting up, finding your way into this high lunge. Maybe fingertips rising towards the ceiling. Both hips are square towards the front of the mat. Slowly taking that right foot 90 degrees. Arms onto either side, warrior 2. Straightening into the front leg. Heel toeing this back right foot in slightly. Drawing the hips as far back as they'll go, fingertips as far forwards. Triangle pose. A deep hamstring stretch. An opening into the chest. And an opening into the right side of the body here. Reaching up a little high with the fingertips if your body allows. And applying a little bit of pressure with the back left hand onto the bottom leg. Inhaling here once more. Exhale to unravel back through to that warrior 2 position. Taking the back foot in slightly, or the front foot can move closer towards you. Turning the foot to 45 degrees. Straightening into the front leg. Back of the right hand is coming onto the outside of this left leg as you reach up with the left fingertips. Twisted triangle, remembering this is a challenging pose. Go easy on yourself. It doesn't matter what it looks like, it's about how it feels. So we're trying to find an opening into the back of the left hamstring and also a twist into the spine, an opening into the chest and the shoulder of the left side. Inhaling here once more. Exhale to unravel, slowly drawing the body upwards. We'll take that forward fold again. So making sure that the hips are staying square to the front of the mat. Hands can either be interlaced around opposite elbows All palms together for reverse prayer. Wherever you get to, inhaling, growing tall, chest drawing up and open. Exhale, folding forwards and opening into this left hamstring. Being careful you don't just collapse into this, so we don't just want all of the weight onto this front left leg. We want to equally be pushing into the ground with the right foot. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling smoothly, taking another round of breath. To come up, sucking the belly button towards the spine, gently lifting, pushing both feet into the ground. We're going to be taking that half moon once again. So right fingertips are going in front of the left foot, drawing up with the right foot off the ground, reaching up towards the ceiling, or hand onto the hip with the right hand. And option again is to catch the right foot with the right hand, and keeping pushing the hand into the foot and the foot into the hand, for more of an opening into the groin, the quad. Lots going on here. Really gently we're going to unravel, so we're going to be taking that right leg back out behind us. Right fingertips are coming to the ground, we're drawing up with the left fingertips. So left fingertips drawing up towards the ceiling. Taking our twisted half moon. Like I said, I think this is quite a horrible pose, but it's so good for the body. And the mind, pushing yourself in different ways. Really gently we're going to unravel. So right toes are coming towards the ground, coming onto the ball of the right foot. Hands onto either side of the left foot. Taking our vinyasa, or perhaps skipping it with me and coming straight back into your down dog. Either staying in down dog for the next 3 breaths or dropping the knees down, taking a child's pose. Inhaling deeply, exhaling smoothly. Taking one more breath wherever you're at. If you're in your child's pose, moving back through to your down dog, and we're going to be dropping the forearms to the ground. So for me, I need to move the hands a little bit closer to do this. And for you, it might be bending into the knees significantly, and you might just want to be dropping one at a time. If you're coming with me, and you want to be dropping both at the same time or practicing it, slowly, gently dropping both forearms to the ground. This is called Dolphin Pose. Amazing for working into the shoulders. And from here, you can work into a forearm stand, which I've been working on for quite a long time. If you're just staying here with me, then maybe taking the gaze out to the fingertips, sucking the belly button towards the spine, pushing the forearms deeply into the ground. You should be sweating a little bit. And then we'll slowly drop the knees, taking a toe squat to reset ourselves. So we're tucking the toes under, we're taking the hands onto the thighs. If this is really intense, use the hands in front and take a little bit of weight into them. If you're with me, enjoying the sensations into the connective tissue between the foot and the rest of the toes. It's like that kind of opening just below where the toe bones are. Breathing deeply here for a few more rounds of breath. We're going to unravel into seated. So if you're coming with me, just dropping the sit bones to the ground. If that doesn't work for your ankles, come in any way which does. Palms of the feet tummy together, knees to the sides, taking a Baddha Konasana. So opening the palms of the feet gently like a book, and this will help the hips to externally rotate. And then if you're wanting to go a little bit deeper, firstly actually, if this is enough, just staying exactly where you are. If you're wanting to come deeper, drawing the chest forward but keeping the spine straight, placing a little bit of pressure with the elbows onto the insides of the legs, and folding forwards until you're feeling a deep sensation into the groin, maybe also into the glutes and the IT bands. I feel a little bit there. Inhaling here deeply. Exhaling here smoothly. We'll slowly unravel after one more breath. Coming back through to seated. We'll take the right leg out in front of us, keeping the left knee bent. Inhaling to grow tall, fingertips rising, crown of the head drawing us up. Belly button sucked in towards the spine, folding forwards. It doesn't matter where the hands reach here. Wherever they do reach though, we'll inhale to take the gaze up, finding a little bit more length into the spine. And we'll exhale to fold a little bit further down, allowing the head and the neck to relax here. Breathing here deeply. Taking one more round of breath. Unraveling back through to a seated position, taking a twist. So left foot is coming onto the outside of the right leg, tucking the right toes towards the face. We're going to take the left fingertips behind the left hip. Inhale, reaching up with the right fingertips. Exhale, hooking or cradling this right elbow around the outside of the left leg. Growing taller with each inhalation, twisting deeper with each exhalation. Taking 3 more breaths using that. So taller on the inhale, deeper twist on the exhale. Belly button slightly engaged, drawing towards the spine. 1 more breath. Unraveling on your next inhalation. We're going to switch over with the legs. So left leg's coming out behind us, right foot's coming onto the inside of the left leg. Again, growing tall, sucking the belly button towards the spine, reaching the fingertips up. Exhale, forward fold. Again, it doesn't matter where the hands reach to. On our next inhalation, we'll draw the chest up, gaze ahead. Exhale, folding forwards. Find a deep stretch into the back of the left leg. Inhaling to create space. Exhale, folding that tiny bit deeper. Unraveling on your next inhalation. Taking our twist on this side, so right foot is coming to the outside of the left leg. Right fingertips behind the right hip. Important thing to remember here is to try and keep those left toes tucked in towards the face. Inhale, reach up with the left fingertips. Exhale to twist. So as you can see, I've hooked around my left elbow here. Perfectly fine to also cradle it around, just depending on what works best for your body proportions. Growing taller on each inhalation, twisting deeper on each exhalation. Inhaling here once more. Exhale, gently, slowly unraveling, giving the legs a little bit of a shake out. And then the last few bits of the class, I was going to teach towards a baby crow and then give options for handstand, headstand, or a shoulder stand. So anybody who wants to practice towards baby crow, what we're going to do first is we're going to place the forearms onto the ground. And if you don't go all the way into it today, it can even be just a really good exercise, especially for the core, just to tuck under the toes, push the forearms into the ground and suck the belly button towards the spine. If you're wanting to come with me a little bit deeper, we're going to be tucking. What I like to do is have both balls of the feet onto the ground at the same time, fingertips onto the ground, forearms onto the ground, and trying to get my knees into my armpits. And then taking the gaze forwards. It might be you just lift off one set of toes, maybe 2, and taking the gaze slightly ahead and down to the ground. There's a lot going on in this pose. It looks really strange and crazy. Give it another bit of a go. I'll read out some instructions again. The most important thing to do is just play around here. Doesn't matter if you don't even get anywhere near it. So if you're wanting to give it another go, not too sure where to start from, forearms coming towards the ground. Some people will need to place the knees into the forearms, I think, before they come down. I can kind of get them in when they're there because I've got long arms. So knees into the armpits, forearms to the ground, gaze going forwards, taking maybe 1 foot, maybe 2 feet off, trying to keep the gaze at a neutral position, drawing the toes together, maybe big toes to touch, pushing the fingertips into the ground, maybe slowly unraveling, maybe taking another few breaths there, or whichever variation that you're in. And then meeting me back into a squatting position for a few breaths. Squatting position can just be a really nice position, so reset the breath. Taking another few breaths. And then option to work with me towards a headstand. And if you're wanting to just do shoulder stand today or any other variation, please do go ahead. A really nice modification if you're not feeling like a full inversion today is to take the legs to 90 degrees. If you want to work towards headstand, it doesn't mean you're going to come into a full headstand today, but it can still be fun to learn the steps. So I'd recommend sitting on the balls of the feet or maybe upright, and we'll begin by measuring out our base. So hands around opposite elbows, placing the elbows onto the mat, interlacing the fingers in front of you aside from the thumbs, which are going to form like a diamond shape on the back of your head. Once you've got that base there, just taking a little look at where the elbows are, because you never want the elbows to stay wider than this. If you're there and wanting to go further, we're going to take the crown of the head to the ground. So making sure you're not just taking the forehead, it's the crown of the head where you would balance a cup of tea or a book on if you were trying to do that. And then taking those thumbs, making that diamond shape. My thumbs don't touch, so it's normal for them not to. Pushing the forearms into the ground and just noticing how that feels when you're doing that. You're wanting your forearms to be pushing in the whole time that you're in a headstand. We're wanting to take about 70% of the weight into the forearms rather than the head. And then if you're there wanting to go deeper, tucking under the toes, coming into that downward facing dog position with the legs, maybe walking the feet in further. So to come into the headstand, you ideally want the hips to be over the shoulders. If you're already there, you're ready to go further, tucking the knees into the chest. So it might just be you get one knee into the chest today. That's great. That's still probably great progress. And then maybe switching sides. If you're wanting to come up, tucking both knees in, pushing the forearms into the ground, maybe coming into this squatting position, or maybe straightening the legs. If all of that sounds a bit much and you just want to stay down here, please do. If you're in your full headstand, making any variations with the legs which feel good. Sometimes splitting the legs wider can make it a bit easier. So one leg coming forward, one leg's back. That can help you to find balance. And also that can help you place more of the weight into the forearms. I find when my legs are straight above me, it's like it's not spreading my center of gravity enough. So it means that I put too much weight into my head. So any variations for the next few moments. If you've had enough, we'll meet into a child's pose. And for a child's pose, either knees nice and wide or knees together, whatever feels most intuitive for you right now. Spreading the arms out in front of us, allowing the forehead to settle to the mat. Once you've had a practice, you've had enough with your headstand meeting us here. We'll reset the breath. And child's pose is always the pose we want to do after practicing headstand because it helps decompress the spine, taking it like into the opposite direction. Taking a few final deep breaths. Once you're ready to, we're going to unravel the body, finding ourselves into our Shavasana position. So legs are splaying out wide, arms to either side, or taking a hand onto the belly and a hand onto the chest. Tuning in to the body once again. Noticing any shifts in the body since the beginning of today's practice. Maybe building some heat in the body. Maybe the mind feels a little bit clearer. Drawing the attention into the feet. Noticing your right little toe. Drawing all of your attention to that toe right now. Coming into the fourth toe, the third toe, the second toe, and that right big toe. Allowing all of the muscles in those right toes to completely switch off to go to sleep. Taking the focus over to the left side, so the left little toe, fourth, the third, the second, and finally the big toe. Allowing the muscles and the toes to switch off. And then taking the attention into your calves. On your exhalation, allowing those calves to become heavier. The backs of the legs are melting into the mat. Taking the attention to the thighs. Allowing the thighs to switch off, to be heavy. Nothing to do right now. Noticing the pelvis. Making it a little bit heavier on that next exhalation. Nothing to do right now. Allowing the muscles in the pelvis to switch off. And drawing the attention into the lower back. Noticing whether it's pressing into the mat or it may be a little way off the mat. Not trying to change it, just acknowledging it. Allowing the lower back to become heavier. The lower back to melt towards the mat, to become as one with the mat. Drawing the attention into the thoracic spine, that middle part of the spine which is holding onto our organs. It's very normal for that part of the spine to be slightly off the mat. It can be where part of our natural curve comes. Wherever it is, allowing it to soften, to relax, the muscles to disengage. Taking the attention into the upper back, around the shoulders. Noticing any tension you might be holding there. Allowing these shoulders to become heavier, drawing them away from the ears. Allowing the shoulders to switch off, to completely relax, to be heavy. Finding your attention into the top parts of the arms. On each exhalation, they're becoming heavier. Muscles are disengaged. The lower arms, nothing to do right now. The hands, the fingers are completely disengaged. Not holding on to anything, no tension in the fingers. They're drawing down. Gravity is pulling the hands closer to the body on the mat. And taking the attention into the face. Noticing the gaze behind the eyelids. Noticing the third eye, the space between the eyes. Allowing the eyes to relax. We're not shutting them closed and holding onto them. They're just completely relaxed with nothing to do right now. And finally, bring the attention to the forehead. Can you allow the forehead to be that little bit more relaxed? Any frown you might be holding onto without even noticing it. Can you allow that to disappear? And coming back to that intention which you set yourself at the beginning of today's practice. And considering how you can take that intention through the rest of your Sunday. Or if it isn't relevant, setting yourself a new intention. Anything which will support you in having a really relaxing, rejuvenating Sunday ready for another week. We'll end this practice by either hugging the knees into the chest, giving yourself a nice nourishing hug, or the arms coming behind the head for a final